What's up everyone, welcome back to Raising the Nuts. Thank you so much for all the kind feedback from the last video.
I know everybody, I'm the star of the show.
I know there's a lot of new subscribers on the channel. It's pretty awesome, the support that we've gotten. I am getting a lot of the same questions in the comments, so I figured we'd debut a new segment here. Just a couple questions, little FAQ with Raising the Nuts, where I'm gonna ask Cam some commonly asked questions and we'll get her answer and then reveal what is actually the correct answer if she doesn't get it right. If you guys would like to submit any questions for Cam or for the other nuts if they ever make another appearance on this channel, go ahead and leave them in the comments below.
Whoa.
What?
They're not nuts. We are the nuts.
No, I'm talking about your brother and sister.
I'm not a nut?
You're a nut. You're the biggest nut, probably. But I was saying if your brother and sister ever make an appearance on the channel again. Okay.
Duh. No, did. Duh. Poker. Since high school? Let me see something. Poker stars. We have stickers. In a year? $40,000? The correct answer is none of your business.
So let's get into today's video. Today's video is going to be a live play every hand challenge video. This is the 4th time that I've done this on the channel. If you haven't seen the previous 3 videos where I play every hand, there's actually a playlist on the channel you can click on and watch those videos. It's been 3 months since I've done one. After 3 sessions, I'm down $454 in the challenge. The goal is to win $2,000, which I will donate half to charity if I'm able to reach the goal. If at any point I get down $1,000 during the challenge, I'm going to donate $500 to charity, and then I guess we'll restart the challenge or figure something out from there. The way the challenge actually works, I go to the casino and I play either 1-2 or 1-3, and I have to play every hand dealt in unless there is a 3-bet or an all-in in front of me. I am allowed to limp in and then fold. I just have to voluntarily put money in the pot unless there is a 3-bet or an all-in in front of me. I actually do the same challenge online almost every day, streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/raisingthenuts. I started doing that in November, and after 2,715 hands, I'm currently up $434.16 playing 25-cent, 50-cent, no limit. The goal there online is to win $1,000, and if I do reach that goal, I will donate all of that money to charity. If I get down at $500 at any point on the challenge online, then I'm going to match that $500 goes to charity. So we have a lot of fun playing every hand, get into some interesting situations that you wouldn't normally get into, and I try to go really in depth with the analysis, more so than I do here in the videos on the vlog. I do a lot more in-depth analysis on the Twitch stream. The first 3 play every hand challenges were done at Harris-Chester, Sugar House, and Parks Casino. All those are Pennsylvania casinos. So I figured I'd head down to a new destination, head down to Atlantic City, and see where I could find a game on a Monday afternoon at 12:30. Tropicana. This place was my first ever home casino. If you watched the first vlog that I did, I actually came here to talk about my poker journey and how it started here. And heading back here was pretty cool. I used to come down here every Thursday to Sunday when I was in college at Rutgers, and I would grind straight through. I had so many 60-hour plus sessions in this place playing 1-2. And then once I moved down to Margate in 2005, I spent countless hours there. Basically was there nonstop from 2004 to 2006. The poker room is different now. It's a different room completely. It's really nice, but the chips are the same. So I posted on Instagram that feeling those chips brought a lot of nostalgia back in me, and just thinking about all the time that I spent there, you know, cutting my teeth at the 1-2 games and then eventually 2-5 and 5-10 games. I'm going to tell you 2 quick little Trop stories because I like telling stories about poker. The Trop used to have a monthly free roll for people who played over a certain amount of hours. And the game changed every month. And so this is probably 2005, and the game that month was stud, just stud high. And it was like, there was something like 300 people qualified for the tournament. And they held the tournament on like a Wednesday afternoon. I believe it was something like a $10,000 prize pool, and first place got $2,000, something like that. I can't remember the exact numbers of that, but I make it down to the final table. And I didn't play stud that often, but I knew how to play. And I just played hyper aggressive, obviously, because it's a free roll and it's all old people. So I get down to the final table, and they go around the table, and at the time, I want to say I was 22, and the next youngest person was like 68, something like that. And so I, you know, obviously raised every hand, and I ended up winning. They wanted to chop, I said no, and I ended up winning the stud free roll on a Wednesday afternoon, where I'm the youngest person at the table by 46 years or something. So that was a fun memory. Another fun Trop memory was, I was playing either 1-2 or 2-5. I remember they didn't used to get too many really big games. It was mostly like 5-10 was the biggest game, and there's a 15-30-45 stud high-low game that went every day. But one day this kid walks in, and he's going to play heads up, and I think they were playing heads up like 2,000, 4,000, or 3,000, 6,000, or something ridiculous. Heads up mixed games with a guy called the Mangler. And everybody's talking about, you know, because it's a poker room and it's all a buzz, and they're like, who's this kid? He must be a trust fund kid. And the kid ended up being Nick Schulman. And I was like right away, and I was like, this kid is awesome. Like, and I had heard of him before from playing online. And it was just crazy to see like this 22-year-old kid come in and play this heads up high stakes cash game against this guy. And it's something you just didn't normally see at the Trop. So those are 2 stories. I like to tell stories, so I'll probably do that occasionally on the channel. Enough about the stories, let's get into what actually happened at the Trop the other day. So got there, like I said, around 12:30. There was already one 1-2 game going. They started a list for the second one, and we were able to start a new game 5-handed, which was obviously going to be pretty beneficial to me, starting 5-handed, playing every hand. So let's get into some of the hands. So playing 5-handed, I opened to $6 under the gun with pocket jacks. The button calls and the small blind calls, and we take the flop 3 ways. The flop comes down 10-9-5 with 2 clubs. They checked me, pretty good flop for me, gonna keep betting, and I bet $10, a little bit on the smaller side, probably would like a bigger size bet, but start with $10. The button and small blind both call. The turn is the jack of spades, giving us a set. The small blind checks, and I'm going to size up a little bit more now that the board is very coordinated. There's 2 spades and 2 clubs. Going to charge them as much as possible, so I bet $35, and they both call once again. The river, not a good card. The 7 of clubs, completing the front door flush and bringing 4 to a straight on the board. Small blind goes ahead and checks. I think for a bit, and I don't think there's any real value in betting, so I just go ahead and check. And the button checks as well, and the small blind shows Queen 9 of hearts. I show my hand, and it's good. Shortly after that, I raise, after a couple of limpers, I raise 9-10 of diamonds to $10. The small blind makes it $20. Everyone folds back to me, easy call. We're $300 deep, so I have a pretty fun hand to play in position against what is probably going to be a very strong hand. So I go ahead and call. The flop comes down Jack 10-6 with 2 hearts and a diamond. He continues for $30. I think have to call here with middle pair. Probably not good right now, but have some back doors to improve. Turn is the 7 of clubs. So I pick up the gut shot, and he bets $60. Probably pretty close here, but I think that I can call and probably have some implied odds if I do get there on the river. Doesn't seem like the type of player who's going to fold and overpair. So I go ahead and call. The river is the 7 of hearts. So the front door flush gets there, and the board pairs, and the player puts out $100. Very sternly, saying that he thinks he has the best hand. I don't know what to do about that, but I don't know what that means for his actual hand. But I don't think that I have a hand that can call against this player. So I go ahead and just fold, and he wins that one.
He got you dead. It's time to go on a heater.
In the next hand, there's a couple of limps. I decide to limp 3-4 of clubs. The button raises to $12. The under the gun player calls, I call, and we go 3 ways to the flop.
I'm thinking of a flop. Why am I touching a beard? I don't even have a beard.
The flop is ace of clubs, 5 of clubs, deuce of diamonds.
That will do.
Flopping the nuts with the straight flush redraw. Just about as good of a flop as you could ask for with 3-4 of clubs. Under the gun checks, I check, and the button bets $30. The under the gun player goes all in for $49. I make the call, and then the button calls as well. The turn card is the king of diamonds. As I'm thinking about what to do, the button checks out of turn. So now I think I definitely want to bet, as if I do check, his check will stand. So I go ahead and bet $75, and the button folds pretty quickly. The river card is the 8 of clubs, so I actually make the flush, but I didn't need it.
Good flop.
The straight was good already. Apparently the guy who was on the gun said he had pocket 5s for a set of 5s. He didn't show his hand, but I believe him. A couple of hands later, I raise under the gun to $6 with ace-6 of clubs. Middle position, cutoff, and the small blind all call. We go 4 to the flop. Flop comes down 9-3-2 rainbow with 1 club. The small blind checks, and I decide to put out a bet of $10 as the board is really dry, and I think that people are going to play very straightforward and fold a lot. People had already been folding mostly in the session, so I think on a dry board like this, where I have some backdoors, I can make a small flop bet and win a lot of the time. The other players in the hand with me have other ideas, and the middle position player makes the call and the small blind makes the call. The turn is the 5 of clubs. Probably one of the best cards I can see in the deck, as I pick up a gut shot and the nut flush draw. The small blind check, I decided to check the turn. Even though I got such a good turn card, I decided to check because with the stack sizes these players had, I didn't think I'd have a lot of fold equity, and I thought that it would check around a great deal of the time. So I ended up checking, especially the player in later position was very passive thus far, so I felt pretty good about checking and realizing my equity. The middle position player decided to go against the way that he'd been playing so far and bets $35. The small blind makes the call, and so I go ahead and flick in the call and looking to improve on the river.
I'm thinking of a river.
That's some improvement there. That's the queen of clubs. That gives us the nuts.
That will do.
The small blind checks. Once again, the player in position checks out of turn. So I go ahead and just bet $80, which was enough to put both of them in. The player in position folds, and the small blind makes the call, claiming he had 2 pair, and obviously mucks as I show the nuts. This was actually the same player that I had stacked with the 3-4 of clubs, so I stacked him in 2 out of 4 hands or so. The very next hand, 2 players limp, the small blind completes, and I check in the big blind with 6-8 of hearts. The flop comes down queen 8-6 rainbow. The small blind checks. I decide to bet $10 on both the middle position player and the button call.
I'm thinking of a turn.
That turn is the 6 of diamonds, so we got a full house. We're running really hot right now.
I guess that's fine.
I go ahead and continue for $25 as I don't expect these players to fold anything. The player next to act jams all in for about $70. The player on the button folds what he said is pocket 10s. I obviously make the call and claim another victim on the 4 of diamonds river. This opponent had queen 10 offsuit, which is no good against a full house.
At this point, the old man's regulars start to show frustration. You can guess what's coming up next. Hey dealer, can you give those cards a good wash? Yeah, give it a good scramble. Yeah, mix them up real good.
Once again, a few short hands later, I raise the $6 with king 10 of diamonds in the cutoff. The button, small blind, and big blind all make the call. We take the flop 4 ways. And the flop is a beautiful queen of diamonds, jack of diamonds 6, giving us the royal flush draw. It checks to me, I bet $10. Again, I go with some smaller sizings in these live 1-2 games as people tend to play pretty predictably against them. And so I can kind of go exploitively with sizings that I want to choose based on the strength of my hand without anybody really manipulating it. The button has other ideas and makes it $23, and the blinds fold. The button was new to the table, hadn't really seen too much of the action, so he doesn't know how this is going to end up for him. I end up just deciding to make the call. The turn is the 7 of hearts. I check and he bets $45. I don't think I have much fold equity against this player type, and I think that it's pretty likely that he has a strong hand that is just not going to fold. So I go ahead and just call. What do you think the river's card is going to be? I'm filming something. Do you want to continue with this or no?
Yes.
Okay.
The river card is obviously a king because we can't lose.
I check and he checks back with ace queen of clubs, so we scoop yet another pot.
How could this guy just win all these hands?
2 hands later, I limp in on the cutoff with 3-5 offsuit. Obviously I have to play every hand. It's funny, most of the hands that I've played and won so far have been at least okay starting hands. But I limp in with 3-5 offsuit. The button makes it 12, and everyone calls back to me. I can fold here in the challenge, but folding is not fun, and I can't win all the money on the table if I fold. So I go ahead and throw in the $10. The flop comes down king 6-4 with 2 clubs, so we flop an open-ender. It checks to the player in middle position who bets $50. The button makes the call, and I call, closing the action, looking for a great turn card, which obviously comes. It's the 7 of diamonds. Make the straight right there. Check again. The player in mid-position continues again for $50. And now the button jams for $150. I think for a little bit the player who bet in position has $200. So I go ahead and just put him in. He makes the fold, and I am up against what the player claims is a set. River is the 5 of clubs, so the board does not pair. I show my hand, and it's once again good.
This is ridiculous. Can you give me a new dealer? Can you give me new cards? Can you give me a new... anything new? Can't you? Huh? Dealer, give me that deck. I'm gonna give these cards a real wash. It's time to wash these cards the right way so I can finally win. Hiya!
The very next hand, I limp with 10-5 of clubs. We go 5 ways to the flop. The flop comes down 10-4-2 with 2 diamonds. It checks to me, I bet $10. There's 2 folds, then the small blind and the big blind both call. The turn, what do you think it's gonna be, guys? It's gonna be a 5, offsuit 5, give me top 2.
Yes.
Yes, that's a 5. It checks to me, I bet $30 and only the big blind calls. The river's a queen, and it checks to me, I put them all in for $70 and he makes the call. We claim yet another victim when he shows a 10 and mucks his hand.
Okay, that's enough. I'm out of here. My back. My back. My back.
The final hand of the day, just to show that I'm human, I limp with 3-5 of spades and we go 6 ways to the flop. The flop comes down king 5-3 with 2 diamonds and a heart. I decide to bet $20 into $12 and the player on my left calls and the button calls. So the turn is the queen of hearts. I continue for $55 and the player on my left has some different ideas in mind and makes it $255. He still had $300 behind. The button folds and back to me. Tough spot, and like I'm playing 100% of hands, so obviously it's like, you know, what is going on here? Does he have aces that limp behind and he's now going crazy? I don't know. I end up just folding, and he doesn't give me any information about his hand, but I ended up folding and showing that I could actually lose a pot. And obviously now that I lost the pot, it was time to leave. But no, I mean, it was just time for me to leave anyway. So into the game for 300, out for 1,047 for a $747 profit after 2.5 hours. It brings the total for the live play every hand challenge to plus $293 after 4 sessions. If you guys do have any questions or comments about any of the hands, please feel free to post them below in the comments section. Additionally, if you have any questions about poker or any poker hand history questions, you can reach me, if you look down in the description below, you can reach me on Instagram, Twitter, email, any of those places, and I usually get back to you guys pretty quickly. So thanks for watching as always, and I'll let Cam, or Old Man Cam, lead us out.
Old man, Emily.
Old Lady Cam.
Huh, wait, what are we doing? Oh yeah. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment down below. Give us a big thumbs up. Like, you.
See ya.